Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is not only revered for his profound spiritual and ethical teachings, but also for the miracles attributed to him throughout his life. These wonders, often seen as divine signs, played a significant role in affirming his prophethood to his followers and those who witnessed them. This compilation delves into 10 of the most extraordinary miracles associated with Prophet Muhammad, exploring their context, significance, and the impact they had on the early Muslim community and subsequent generations. Number 1. The splitting of the moon. One of the most renowned miracles attributed to Prophet Muhammad is the splitting of the moon. This event, known as the Shaq al-Qamar, is said to have occurred when the Quraysh skeptics demanded a sign to prove his prophethood. According to tradition, the prophet prayed to Allah, and the moon split into 2 distinct halves, which later rejoined. Witnesses were astounded, yet some still attributed it to magic. This miraculous event is referenced in the Quran in Surah Al-Qamar 54:1, emphasizing its significance in Islamic tradition. The splitting of the moon is a significant event in Islamic tradition, often interpreted as a clear sign of Prophet Muhammad's divine connection and his role as a messenger of Allah. The event occurred during a time when the Prophet faced immense opposition and skepticism from the Quraysh tribe. The demand for a miraculous sign was a test of his prophethood, and the splitting of the moon provided an undeniable demonstration of his connection to the divine. Historical records and hadiths provide detailed accounts of this event, describing how the Prophet pointed to the moon, and it split into 2 halves, with one part appearing on either side of Mount Hira. Despite this miraculous occurrence, many of the Quraysh continued to reject the Prophet's message, attributing the phenomenon to sorcery. However, the believers who witnessed the event were further strengthened in their faith, recognizing it as a fulfillment of divine prophecy. The splitting of the moon is also significant in that it is mentioned in the Quran. Surah Al-Qamar 54:1 states, "The hour has come near, and the moon has split." This verse is often interpreted as a reference to the miraculous event, reinforcing the belief that the Prophet's miracles were signs from Allah meant to guide humanity. The event remains a powerful symbol of the Prophet's mission and the divine support he received. Over the centuries, Islamic scholars and theologians have debated and interpreted the splitting of the moon in various ways. Some view it as a literal event, while others interpret it metaphorically, as a sign of the impending day of judgment, or as a symbol of the transformative power of the Prophet's message. Regardless of the interpretation, the event holds a central place in Islamic tradition and continues to inspire believers. The impact of the splitting of the moon extends beyond the immediate context of the Prophet's life. It serves as a reminder of the miraculous nature of his mission and the divine signs that accompanied it. The event is often recounted in Islamic literature, sermons, and teachings as an example of the extraordinary occurrences that marked the Prophet's life and the divine favor he enjoyed. In conclusion, the splitting of the moon is one of the most significant miracles attributed to Prophet Muhammad. It served as a powerful sign of his prophethood, strengthened the faith of his followers, and continues to be a source of inspiration and reflection for Muslims around the world. The event highlights the miraculous nature of the Prophet's mission and the divine support he received in his efforts to convey the message of Islam. Number 2. The night journey and ascension. The Isra and Miraj, or the night journey and ascension, represent one of the most profound spiritual experiences of Prophet Muhammad. This journey is said to have taken place in a single night, where he traveled from Mecca to Jerusalem on the mystical steed Burak, and from there ascended through the heavens. During this journey, he met various prophets, witnessed the wonders of paradise and the torments of hell, and ultimately stood in the presence of Allah. This event is commemorated annually and holds deep theological significance, symbolizing spiritual elevation and divine favor. The night journey and ascension began with the prophet being awakened by the angel Gabriel, who brought the Burak, a celestial steed described as being faster than the speed of light. The journey from Mecca to the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem was the first leg of this miraculous voyage. Upon reaching Jerusalem, the prophet led a congregation of past prophets in prayer, establishing his leadership and spiritual prominence among them. From Jerusalem, the Miraj, or the ascension to the heavens, commenced. The prophet ascended through the 7 heavens, encountering various prophets and angels at each level. In the first heaven, he met Adam, who welcomed him and affirmed his prophethood. In subsequent heavens, he encountered figures such as Yahya, John the Baptist, and Isa, Jesus, Yusuf, Joseph, Idris, Enoch, Harun, Aaron, Musa, Moses, and Abraham. Each of these encounters reinforced the continuity of the prophetic mission and the unity of the divine message across different eras. The ascension reached its zenith when the prophet entered the presence of Allah in a state known as the Sidrat al-Muntaha, the Lote tree of the utmost boundary. Here he received revelations and instructions, including the command for the Muslim community to perform the 5 daily prayers. Initially, the command was for 50 prayers, but after interceding on behalf of his community, the number was reduced to 5, with the promise that these would carry the reward of 50. The night journey and ascension are not only miraculous in their nature, but also rich in symbolism and theological significance. They emphasize the prophet's unique role as the final messenger, his spiritual authority, and the direct connection he had with the divine. The event also highlights the importance of prayer in Islam, as it was during this journey that the daily prayers were ordained, underscoring their centrality in Muslim life. The Isra and Miraj have been the subject of extensive commentary and interpretation in Islamic scholarship. Scholars have explored the event's various dimensions, including its historical context, its spiritual lessons, and its eschatological implications. The journey is often seen as a precursor to the Day of Judgment, offering a glimpse into the afterlife and the divine justice that awaits humanity. The commemoration of Isra and Miraj, known as Laylat al-Miraj, is observed by Muslims around the world with special prayers, recitations, and reflections on the profound meanings of the event. It serves as a reminder of the Prophet's spiritual journey and the continuous need for believers to seek closeness to Allah through prayer and righteousness. In conclusion, the night journey and ascension of Prophet Muhammad stand as one of the most significant and miraculous events in Islamic tradition. They underscore his unique spiritual status, the divine support for his mission, and the central role of prayer in Islam. The event continues to inspire and guide Muslims, reminding them of the importance of faith, devotion, and the ultimate goal of attaining closeness to Allah. Number 3. The Miraculous Quran. The Quran, revealed to Prophet Muhammad over 23 years, is considered his greatest miracle. Its unmatched linguistic beauty, profound wisdom, and consistency have been sources of inspiration and guidance for over a millennium. The Quran addresses various aspects of life, science, history, and eschatology, often with knowledge that was far ahead of its time. The challenge to produce a chapter like it remains unmet, underscoring its divine origin and the Prophet's role as the final messenger. The revelation of the Quran began in the cave of Hira, where the Prophet would often retreat for contemplation and worship. It was during one of these retreats that the angel Jibril appeared to him and conveyed the first verses of Surah Al-Alaq, marking the commencement of the prophetic mission. The revelation continued in various circumstances, addressing different events and issues, and guiding the Muslim community in their spiritual, social, and moral development. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Quran is its linguistic excellence. Arabic, the language of the Quran, was at its peak of eloquence and poetry during the Prophet's time. Yet, the Quran's style, structure, and depth surpassed anything known to the Arabs, leaving poets and scholars in awe. The Quran's challenge to produce a chapter like it, Surah Al-Baqarah 223, remains unmet, highlighting its miraculous nature and divine origin. The Quran's content is another testament to its miraculous nature. It encompasses a wide range of topics, including theology, law, ethics, social justice, and guidance for personal conduct. It addresses historical events with accuracy and provides detailed accounts of past prophets and their communities, often with information unknown to the prophet or his contemporaries. These narratives serve not only as lessons, but also as validations of the continuity of the divine message. Scientific insights in the Quran have also been a subject of fascination and study. Verses describing embryonic development, the expansion of the universe, the water cycle, and various natural phenomena align with modern scientific discoveries, despite being revealed over 1400 years ago. These insights demonstrate the Quran's timeless relevance and its role as a source of knowledge that transcends human limitations. The Quran's guidance on social and moral issues is profound and transformative. It emphasizes justice, compassion, and the dignity of all human beings. Its teachings on the rights of women, the poor, and marginalized groups were revolutionary for its time and continue to inspire movements for social justice and human rights. The Quran's ethical framework provides a comprehensive guide for personal and communal conduct, promoting a balanced and harmonious society. The Quran also addresses eschatological themes, providing detailed descriptions of the afterlife, resurrection, and divine judgment. These teachings aim to instill a sense of accountability and purpose in believers, encouraging them to lead righteous lives in anticipation of the hereafter. The vivid imagery of paradise and hell serves as both a warning and a promise, motivating believers to strive for moral excellence. The process of Quranic revelation and its preservation is another miraculous aspect. The Quran was revealed gradually, responding to the needs and circumstances of the Muslim community. The Prophet would recite the revealed verses to his companions, who memorized and wrote them down. This meticulous process ensured the Quran's preservation, and its compilation into a single book was completed shortly after the Prophet's death, maintaining its authenticity and integrity. The impact of the Quran on the Muslim community and the world at large is immense. It has shaped the spiritual, intellectual, and cultural heritage of Islamic civilization. Its teachings have inspired countless individuals to pursue knowledge, justice, and spiritual growth. The Quran continues to be a living text, recited, memorized, and studied by millions, guiding them in their faith and daily lives. In conclusion, the Quran stands as the greatest miracle attributed to Prophet Muhammad. Its linguistic beauty, profound wisdom, scientific insights, and comprehensive guidance attest to its divine origin. The Quran's enduring relevance and transformative impact highlight its miraculous nature and the pivotal role of the Prophet in conveying this final and complete revelation to humanity. It remains a source of inspiration, guidance, and reflection for Muslims, and a testament to the miraculous nature of the Prophet's mission. Number 4. The multiplication of food. Several instances of food multiplication during the prophet's life have been recorded, showcasing his compassion and divine support. One notable event occurred during the Battle of the Trench when the Muslims were besieged and food was scarce. The prophet blessed a small amount of barley and lamb, miraculously feeding over 1,000 people. Such miracles reinforced the faith of his followers and demonstrated Allah's provision through his messenger. The Battle of the Trench, also known as the Battle of Azab, was a critical moment in the early history of Islam. The Muslims in Medina faced a coalition of various tribes intent on destroying the nascent Muslim community. To protect the city, the Prophet and his companions dug a trench around Medina, but the siege led to severe food shortages. It was in this dire situation that one of the most remarkable miracles of food multiplication took place. One of the companions, Jabir ibn Abdullah, invited the Prophet to his home for a meal, apologizing for the meager provisions of a small amount of barley and a lamb. The Prophet accepted the invitation and, upon arrival, blessed the food. He then instructed Jabir to invite all the companions to share the meal. Miraculously, the food not only sufficed for the Prophet and the companions, but continued to be plentiful, allowing all present to eat their fill and still have leftovers. This event is a testament to the Prophet's connection with the divine and his role as a provider for his community. Another notable instance of food multiplication occurred during the expedition of Tabuk. The Muslim army faced a shortage of provisions, and the companions were worried about their sustenance. The Prophet asked for whatever food they had to be brought together, which amounted to very little. He prayed over the food, and it was distributed among the soldiers. Miraculously, the food multiplied, and everyone had enough to eat. This miracle not only alleviated the immediate crisis, but also reinforced the soldiers' faith in the Prophet's divine support and leadership. The miracles of food multiplication were not limited to these two events. Numerous other instances are recorded in Hadith literature, where the Prophet's blessings resulted in the abundant provision of food and drink. These miracles often occurred in moments of need, highlighting the Prophet's compassion and concern for his followers' well-being. They also served as powerful signs of divine intervention, strengthening the faith of those who witnessed them. The multiplication of food also carries deep symbolic meaning. It illustrates the concept of barakah, blessing. In Islam, where Allah's blessings can transform limited resources into abundant provision. This principle encourages believers to have faith in divine providence and to be generous and compassionate, trusting that Allah will provide for their needs. The Prophet's example in these miracles underscores the importance of reliance on Allah and the power of sincere prayer and blessings. The impact of these miracles on the early Muslim community was profound. They provided tangible proof of the Prophet's divine connection and his role as a messenger of Allah. The companions who witnessed these miracles were inspired and strengthened in their faith, reinforcing their commitment to the Prophet and the Islamic cause. These events also demonstrated the practical and spiritual support that the Prophet provided to his followers, enhancing their sense of unity and solidarity. In conclusion, the miracles of food multiplication attributed to Prophet Muhammad highlight his compassion, divine support, and the principle of barakah in Islam. These events not only addressed immediate physical needs, but also reinforced the faith of the early Muslim community. The Prophet's ability to multiply food in times of scarcity serves as a powerful reminder of Allah's provision and the miraculous nature of the Prophet's mission. These miracles continue to inspire believers, emphasizing the importance of faith, reliance on Allah, and the power of divine blessings. Number 5. The healing touch. Prophet Muhammad's ability to heal the sick and wounded through his prayers and touch is another widely reported miracle. Numerous accounts describe him curing blindness, healing fractures, and alleviating fevers with divine intervention. These acts of healing were not only physical remedies, but also spiritual affirmations, strengthening the believer's faith and exemplifying the Prophet's merciful nature. One of the most famous instances of the Prophet's healing touch involved a companion named Qatada. During the Battle of Uhud, Qatada's eye was severely injured to the point of being dislodged from its socket. The Prophet took Qatada's eye, placed it back into its socket, and prayed for healing. Miraculously, Qatada's eye was restored to perfect health, and it is said that it became even stronger than his other eye. This remarkable healing not only saved Qatada's vision, but also served as a powerful sign of the Prophet's divine connection and the efficacy of his prayers. Another significant healing miracle occurred when the Prophet healed the broken leg of Abdullah ibn Atik. Abdullah had been injured during a mission and was in great pain. The Prophet touched his leg and prayed for his recovery. Instantly, Abdullah's leg was healed, and he was able to walk without any discomfort. This miracle demonstrated the Prophet's ability to provide immediate and complete healing, reinforcing the faith of those who witnessed it. The Prophet's healing touch was not limited to physical injuries. He also cured numerous people of illnesses and ailments through his prayers. One notable instance involved a companion named Ali, who was suffering from severe eye pain. During the Battle of Khaybar, Ali's condition was so debilitating that he could not see. The Prophet applied his saliva to Ali's eyes and prayed for his healing. Ali's vision was instantly restored, and he was able to lead the Muslim forces to victory. This miraculous healing not only alleviated Ali's suffering, but also demonstrated the Prophet's ability to bring about divine cures through his prayers. The Prophet's healing miracles extended to those who were possessed by evil spirits or suffering from mental afflictions. He would often pray for such individuals, invoking Allah's protection and mercy. One such instance involved a young boy who was brought to the Prophet by his father. The boy was suffering from severe seizures and convulsions. The Prophet prayed for the boy and placed his hand on the child's chest, asking Allah to remove the affliction. The boy was immediately cured, and his seizures ceased. This miracle highlighted the Prophet's compassion and his ability to provide spiritual healing and deliverance. These acts of healing were not merely physical remedies. They carried profound spiritual significance. They served as tangible proofs of the Prophet's divine mission and his role as a conduit of Allah's mercy and power. The companions who witnessed these miracles were deeply moved and inspired, their faith in the Prophet and his message strengthened. The healing miracles also demonstrated the Prophet's empathy and care for his followers, reinforcing his role as a compassionate and merciful leader. The Prophet's healing touch continues to be a source of inspiration and reflection for Muslims. It underscores the importance of seeking Allah's help and relying on divine intervention in times of need. The miracles also highlight the power of sincere prayer and the profound impact it can have on one's physical and spiritual well-being. The Prophet's example encourages believers to cultivate compassion, empathy, and a strong connection with Allah, trusting in His ability to heal and provide. In conclusion, the healing miracles attributed to Prophet Muhammad are significant demonstrations of his divine connection and the efficacy of his prayers. These acts of healing provided physical relief and spiritual affirmation to his followers, reinforcing their faith and trust in his mission. The Prophet's ability to heal the sick and wounded through his touch and prayers exemplifies his compassion and the miraculous nature of his mission. These miracles continue to inspire and guide Muslims, emphasizing the importance of faith, prayer, and reliance on Allah's mercy and power. Number 6. The flowing water. During the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, a dire shortage of water tested the Muslim camp. In this moment of need, the Prophet dipped his hands into a container, and water began to flow abundantly from his fingers. This miraculous provision ensured that the companions had enough water for drinking and ablution. Such events highlighted the Prophet's role as a source of sustenance and divine mercy in times of need. The Treaty of Hudaybiyah was a significant event in the history of Islam, marking a pivotal moment in the relations between the Muslims and the Quraysh of Mecca. As the Muslims traveled to Mecca with the intention of performing the pilgrimage, they faced numerous challenges, including a severe shortage of water. The situation became critical as the companions were unable to find enough water to quench their thirst or perform ablutions for prayer. In this moment of desperation, the Prophet displayed one of his most remarkable miracles. He called for a container of water, and as he placed his hands into it, water began to flow from his fingers. The companions were astonished by this miraculous occurrence, and they quickly gathered around, drinking and performing ablutions. The water continued to flow abundantly until everyone had enough to satisfy their needs. This miracle not only alleviated the immediate crisis but also reinforced the faith of the companions in the Prophet's divine support and his role as a provider. The miracle of the flowing water is recorded in numerous hadiths, with varying accounts of the specific circumstances and details. One common thread in these accounts is the profound impact the miracle had on those who witnessed it. The companions were deeply moved by the Prophet's ability to provide sustenance in such a miraculous manner, strengthening their belief in his prophethood and Allah's support for their mission. The symbolism of water in this miracle is also significant. Water is a vital source of life, essential for physical survival and spiritual purification. The Prophet's ability to produce water in a moment of need highlights his role as a source of both physical and spiritual sustenance for his followers. It underscores the concept of barakah, blessing, in Islam, where Allah's blessings can transform scarcity into abundance through the Prophet's intercession. The impact of this miracle extended beyond the immediate context of Hudaybiyah. It served as a powerful reminder of the Prophet's connection with the divine and his ability to provide for his community in times of need. The companions who witnessed the miracle were inspired and reassured, their faith in the Prophet and their commitment to the Islamic cause strengthened. The miracle also demonstrated the importance of reliance on Allah and the power of sincere prayer and blessings. In subsequent generations, the miracle of the flowing water has continued to inspire and guide Muslims. It serves as a reminder of Allah's provision and the importance of trust and reliance on divine support. The event is often recounted in Islamic literature and teachings as an example of the miraculous occurrences that marked the Prophet's life and the divine favor he enjoyed. The miracle of the flowing water also carries a broader lesson about the importance of compassion and care for others. The Prophet's actions in providing water for his companions highlight his concern for their well-being and his role as a compassionate and merciful leader. This example encourages believers to emulate the Prophet's compassion and to strive to provide for others in times of need, trusting in Allah's ability to bless and multiply their efforts. In conclusion, the miracle of the flowing water at Hudaybiyah is a significant demonstration of Prophet Muhammad's divine connection and his role as a provider for his community. This miraculous provision of water alleviated an immediate crisis and strengthened the faith of the companions. The event highlights the importance of reliance on Allah, the power of prayer and blessings, and the Prophet's compassion and care for his followers. It continues to inspire Muslims, reminding them of the miraculous nature of the prophet's mission and the importance of faith, compassion, and trust in divine support. Number 7. The protection from assassination. On several occasions, divine intervention protected Prophet Muhammad from assassination attempts. One such incident involved a plot by the Quraysh to kill him during his migration to Medina. As assassins surrounded his house, the Prophet left unnoticed, with Allah's protection cloaking him from their sight. These instances of divine safeguarding reassured the early Muslim community of their leader's divine mission and Allah's support. The migration, Hijrah, from Mecca to Medina was a turning point in the history of Islam. Faced with increasing persecution and threats to their lives, the Prophet and his followers decided to leave Mecca and seek refuge in Medina, where they had received an invitation to establish a new community. However, the Quraysh were determined to prevent the Prophet's escape and plotted to assassinate him. On the night of the planned assassination, the Prophet instructed his cousin Ali to sleep in his bed, effectively deceiving the assassins who were watching his house. Meanwhile, the Prophet, with Allah's guidance, left his home unnoticed. As he walked past the assassins, Allah cast a veil over their eyes, rendering him invisible to them. This miraculous protection allowed the Prophet to safely leave Mecca and begin his journey to Medina. The event is commemorated in Islamic history as a profound example of divine intervention and protection. Another notable instance of divine protection occurred during the Battle of Uhud. The Quraysh forces, seeking revenge for their defeat at Badr, launched a fierce attack on the Muslim army. In the chaos of battle, the Prophet was targeted by the enemy. He sustained several injuries, including a broken tooth and deep wounds. Despite the severity of the attack, he was miraculously shielded from being killed. The companions rallied around him, ensuring his safety and continuing the fight. This miraculous protection during such a critical moment reinforced the belief in Allah's support for the Prophet and his mission. The Prophet also experienced divine protection from assassination attempts by individuals acting independently. One such instance involved a Jewish woman who attempted to poison him by preparing a poisoned meal. The Prophet, informed by divine revelation, detected the poison before consuming the food, thus averting the assassination attempt. This incident, among others, highlighted the Prophet's special status and the continuous divine safeguarding he received. These instances of protection are not merely historical anecdotes but carry deep spiritual and theological significance. They underscore the concept of divine decree and the belief that Allah's will prevails over all human plans. The protection of the Prophet in critical moments of danger serves as a testament to his role as the chosen messenger and the divine support he enjoyed throughout his mission. The impact of these protective miracles on the early Muslim community was profound. The companions who witnessed or learned of these events were reassured of the Prophet's divine mission and Allah's unwavering support. These miracles reinforced their faith, strengthened their resolve, and inspired them to remain steadfast in the face of adversity. The belief in divine protection also fostered a sense of confidence and fearlessness among the believers, knowing that Allah was with them. In subsequent generations, the stories of the Prophet's protection have continued to inspire and guide Muslims. They serve as reminders of Allah's power and mercy, encouraging believers to trust in divine protection and support in their own lives. The events are often recounted in Islamic teachings and literature as examples of the miraculous nature of the Prophet's mission and the special favor he enjoyed from Allah. The protective miracles also carry a broader lesson about the importance of trust and reliance on Allah. The Prophet's unwavering faith and reliance on divine support, even in the most dangerous situations, serve as a model for believers. These events encourage Muslims to cultivate a strong connection with Allah, to seek His protection and guidance, and to trust in His wisdom and mercy in all circumstances. In conclusion, the miracles of divine protection from assassination attributed to Prophet Muhammad highlight his special status and the continuous divine support he received throughout his mission. These instances of miraculous safeguarding reinforce the faith of the early Muslim community, providing reassurance and inspiration. The stories of the Prophet's protection continue to guide and inspire Muslims, emphasizing the importance of trust in Allah, reliance on divine support, and the miraculous nature of the Prophet's mission. They serve as enduring reminders of Allah's power, mercy, and the unique role of the Prophet as his chosen messenger. Number 8. The tree trunk that wept. In the Mosque of Medina, the Prophet used to deliver sermons while leaning on a tree trunk. When a pulpit was constructed and he began using it, the trunk reportedly wept audibly, longing for the Prophet's touch. He comforted the trunk, and it ceased crying. This deeply moving incident illustrates the profound connection between the Prophet and even inanimate objects, underscoring his unique status and the deep spiritual bond he shared with all creation. The incident of the weeping tree trunk is one of the most touching and profound miracles attributed to Prophet Muhammad. It occurred in the Prophet's mosque in Medina, where he initially used a palm trunk as a makeshift pulpit to deliver his sermons. When the companions built a proper pulpit, minbar, for him, the Prophet began using it for his addresses. On the first day he ascended the new pulpit, a remarkable event took place that left the congregation astonished and deeply moved. As the Prophet started his sermon from the new pulpit, the congregation heard a sound resembling the crying or moaning of a young camel. The sound was traced to the palm trunk that the Prophet had previously leaned on. It is said that the trunk wept audibly, expressing its longing for the Prophet's touch and the honor of being associated with his sermons. The weeping of the trunk was so intense and heartfelt that it moved the entire congregation. In response to this miraculous occurrence, the Prophet descended from the pulpit, approached the trunk, and placed his hand on it. He comforted the trunk, speaking to it softly and reassuring it until the crying ceased. The Prophet then instructed the companions to bury the trunk in a respectful manner, acknowledging the unique event that had taken place. This miracle carries deep symbolic and spiritual significance. It illustrates the profound connection between the Prophet and all creation, including inanimate objects. The weeping of the tree trunk is seen as a manifestation of the love and reverence that even the natural world held for the Prophet. It underscores his unique status and the deep spiritual bond he shared with all beings, reflecting the Islamic belief in the interconnectedness of all creation under Allah's will. The incident also serves as a powerful reminder of the spiritual presence and impact of the Prophet. His ability to elicit such a response from an inanimate object highlights the depth of his spiritual authority and the divine light that he carried. The weeping trunk symbolizes the love, reverence, and longing that believers feel for the Prophet, emphasizing the importance of maintaining a strong spiritual connection with him. The impact of this miracle on the early Muslim community was profound. The companions who witnessed the event were deeply moved and inspired, their faith in the Prophet's divine mission and unique status reinforced. The incident became a cherished story, passed down through generations as a testament to the miraculous nature of the Prophet's life and the profound love that even the natural world held for him. In subsequent generations, the story of the weeping tree trunk has continued to inspire and move Muslims. It serves as a reminder of the deep spiritual connection that believers should strive to cultivate with the Prophet and the importance of reverence and love for him. The event is often recounted in Islamic teachings and literature as an example of the extraordinary occurrences that marked the Prophet's life and the divine favor he enjoyed. The incident also carries a broader lesson about the importance of compassion and care for all creation. The prophet's response to the weeping trunk, his gentle comfort, and his respect for the inanimate object highlight his compassionate nature and his role as a merciful leader. This example encourages believers to emulate the prophet's compassion and care for all beings, recognizing the interconnectedness of all creation and the importance of treating everything with respect and kindness. In conclusion, the miracle of the weeping tree trunk attributed to Prophet Muhammad is a deeply moving and profound event that highlights his unique spiritual status and the profound connection he shared with all creation. The incident reinforced the faith of the early Muslim community, providing a powerful example of the miraculous nature of the Prophet's life and the deep reverence that even inanimate objects held for him. The story continues to inspire and guide Muslims, emphasizing the importance of spiritual connection, compassion, and reverence for the Prophet and all creation. It serves as an enduring reminder of the miraculous nature of the Prophet's mission and the unique role he played as Allah's chosen messenger. Number 9. The acceptance of supplications. The acceptance of Prophet Muhammad's supplications, du'as, is another testament to his special status. His prayers for rain, victory in battles, and blessings for his companions were often answered in miraculous ways. One famous incident is his prayer for rain during a drought, which resulted in immediate rainfall. These answered prayers reinforced his prophetic authority and the belief in Allah's responsiveness to his pleas. One of the most famous instances of the Prophet's supplications being answered occurred during a severe drought in Medina. The community was in dire need of rain, and the situation had become critical. The Prophet led the congregation in a special prayer for rain, known as Salat al-Istisqa. He raised his hands in supplication, earnestly asking Allah to send rain to alleviate the suffering of the people. Almost immediately, clouds began to gather, and rain started to fall, providing the much-needed relief. This miraculous response to his prayer not only alleviated the immediate crisis, but also strengthened the faith of the believers in the Prophet's divine connection and the power of sincere supplication. Another significant instance of the Prophet's supplications being accepted occurred during the Battle of Badr. Faced with a much larger and better equipped enemy force, the Prophet prayed fervently for Allah's assistance and victory for the Muslim army. His supplication was answered in a remarkable way, as the Muslims achieved a decisive victory despite the overwhelming odds against them. This victory was seen as a clear sign of divine support and the acceptance of the Prophet's prayers, reinforcing the belief in Allah's responsiveness to his pleas and the righteousness of the Muslim cause. The Prophet's supplications were also answered in more personal and individual contexts. One such instance involved a companion named Anas ibn Malik. His mother brought him to the Prophet and asked him to pray for her son to have a long life and abundant sustenance. The Prophet made a supplication for Anas, asking Allah to bless him with a long life, abundant wealth, and many children. Anas lived for many decades, becoming one of the longest living companions of the Prophet. He also became wealthy and had numerous descendants, fulfilling the Prophet's supplication in an extraordinary way. The acceptance of the Prophet's supplications extended to various aspects of life, including healing the sick, seeking protection from harm, and providing guidance in times of difficulty. His prayers were a source of comfort and reassurance for his followers, who witnessed firsthand the miraculous responses to his supplications. These answered prayers reinforced the belief in the Prophet's unique status as Allah's chosen messenger and the power of sincere supplication. The impact of these answered supplications on the early Muslim community was profound. The companions who witnessed the immediate and miraculous responses to the Prophet's prayers were deeply moved and inspired. Their faith in the Prophet's divine connection and the efficacy of his supplications was strengthened, reinforcing their commitment to Islam and their trust in Allah's responsiveness to their own prayers. In subsequent generations, the stories of the Prophet's accepted supplications have continued to inspire and guide Muslims. They serve as powerful reminders of the importance of sincere prayer and the belief in Allah's power to respond to the needs and pleas of His servants. The examples of the Prophet's supplications being answered are often recounted in Islamic teachings and literature, encouraging believers to cultivate a strong connection with Allah through prayer and to trust in His mercy and responsiveness. The acceptance of the Prophet's supplications also carries a broader lesson about the importance of faith and reliance on Allah. The Prophet's unwavering faith and trust in Allah's power to respond to his prayers serve as a model for believers. These events encourage Muslims to maintain a strong faith, to seek Allah's help in all aspects of their lives, and to trust in His wisdom and mercy in responding to their supplications. In conclusion, the acceptance of Prophet Muhammad's supplications is a significant testament to his unique status and the power of sincere prayer. His prayers for rain, victory, and blessings were often answered in miraculous ways, reinforcing the belief in Allah's responsiveness to His pleas and the righteousness of His mission. These answered supplications provided comfort, reassurance, and inspiration to the early Muslim community and continue to guide and inspire Muslims today. The stories of the Prophet's accepted supplications highlight the importance of faith, prayer, and reliance on Allah's mercy and power, serving as enduring reminders of the miraculous nature of the Prophet's mission and his unique role as Allah's chosen messenger. Number 10. The prophecy of future events. Prophet Muhammad's ability to accurately predict future events is a compelling aspect of his miracles. He foretold numerous incidents, including the victories of the Byzantines over the Persians, the martyrdom of his companions, and the spread of Islam across distant lands. These prophecies, often fulfilled within his lifetime or shortly thereafter, provided undeniable proof of his divine insight and further solidified his role as Allah's final messenger. One of the most remarkable prophecies made by the Prophet involved the Byzantine and Persian empires. At a time when the Byzantines were facing significant defeats and appeared on the verge of collapse, the Prophet predicted their eventual victory over the Persians. This prophecy is recorded in the Quran, in Surah Ar-Rum 32:4, which states, "The Romans have been defeated in the nearest land, but they, after their defeat, will overcome within a few years." This prediction came true several years later when the Byzantines achieved a decisive victory over the Persians, fulfilling the Prophet's prophecy and demonstrating his divine insight. Another significant prophecy involved the martyrdom of several of the Prophet's closest companions. He foretold the tragic deaths of figures such as Uthman ibn Affan, who was assassinated while serving as the third caliph, and Ali ibn Abi Talib, who was also martyred during his caliphate. These predictions were made with remarkable accuracy, including details of the circumstances surrounding their deaths. The fulfillment of these prophecies served as a powerful testament to the Prophet's knowledge of future events and the divine revelation he received. The spread of Islam across distant lands was another prophecy made by the Prophet that came to pass. He predicted that Islam would spread far beyond the Arabian Peninsula, reaching as far as the Roman and Persian empires and beyond. Within a few decades of his passing, Islamic conquests and the spread of the faith reached vast territories, including North Africa, Spain, Persia, and parts of the Byzantine Empire. This rapid expansion fulfilled the prophet's prophecy and demonstrated the truth of his mission and the divine support for the spread of Islam. The prophet also made specific prophecies about the events leading up to the Day of Judgment. He described various signs and occurrences, including the moral decline of society, the prevalence of injustice and corruption, and the emergence of false prophets. These eschatological prophecies are detailed in numerous hadiths and have been the subject of extensive commentary and interpretation by Islamic scholars. The fulfillment of many of these signs in subsequent centuries has reinforced the belief in the prophet's prophetic insight and the authenticity of his teachings. The prophecies made by the prophet were not limited to grand historical events, but also included personal predictions for individuals. For example, he foretold the future roles and achievements of several of his companions. He predicted that Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan would become a significant leader, which was fulfilled when Muawiyah established the Umayyad Caliphate. Similarly, the prophet foretold that Ammar ibn Yasir would be martyred by a rebellious group, a prophecy that came true during the Battle of Siffin. These prophecies were not only remarkable for their accuracy, but also for their impact on the early Muslim community. The companions who witnessed the fulfillment of these prophecies were deeply moved and inspired. Their faith in the prophet's divine mission and the truth of his message strengthened. The accuracy of these predictions provided undeniable proof of the prophet's divine insight and further solidified his role as Allah's final messenger. In subsequent generations, the prophecies made by the prophet have continued to be a source of reflection and study. They serve as powerful reminders of the miraculous nature of his mission and the divine knowledge he possessed. The fulfillment of these prophecies is often cited in Islamic teachings and literature as evidence of the truth of Islam and the authenticity of the prophet's message. The ability to predict future events also carries a broader lesson about the nature of divine revelation and the role of the prophet in guiding humanity. The prophecies made by the prophet underscore the belief that Allah's knowledge encompasses all of time, and that the prophet, as his messenger, was granted insight into future events to guide and prepare his followers. These prophecies encourage believers to trust in the divine plan, to remain steadfast in their faith, and to seek guidance from the teachings of the prophet. In conclusion, the ability of Prophet Muhammad to accurately predict future events is a compelling aspect of his miracles and a testament to his divine insight. The fulfillment of numerous prophecies, including the victories of the Byzantines, the martyrdom of companions, and the spread of Islam, provided undeniable proof of his prophetic mission. These prophecies have inspired and guided Muslims throughout history, reinforcing their faith and trust in the divine plan. The prophet's predictions continue to be a source of reflection and study, highlighting the miraculous nature of his mission and his unique role as Allah's final messenger. They serve as enduring reminders of the truth of Islam and the importance of following the guidance and teachings of the prophet.